Oh, hi there. My name is Kara Brown. I am an urban fantasy author and a tarot card enthusiast, and I am here today to do two things. I'm here to do a recap of my reading from the start of August, and then I'm here to do a reading for September. So my reading for August was not very good. Basically, my reading for August kind of centered on a group of people that were kind of going around and being malicious, and I really wanted it to not be true, but unfortunately it's actually been true. Literally, as soon as I posted the video, I had individuals come to me about the same group and basically say, I am a person that is trapped in the circle and I don't know how to get out, or I'm willingly trapped, and things like that. And first off, really sorry that you're stuck in those situations. I know some people have gone and distanced themselves from it. That's really not fun. I know that's not really good for your mental wellness and everything else, so I'm really sorry that you had to go through that, and I really appreciate your trust in coming and talking to me about this, and I hope I was able to provide an outlet for you. For those of you who are kind of like, Kara, are you going to tell us who it is? I'm not going to tell you who it is for two reasons. One, I don't do witch hunts. I just don't. I'm not really a big fan of them. What I would like to do is just continue to encourage you guys to be aware of kind of like cyberbullying behavior, and kind of just be aware of how people are treating each other, and see if you see a warning sign, just kind of pay attention to it. Don't leap onto it. We're not here to make mountains out of molehills, but you know, just continue to be aware. And if you know that somebody is hurt or they need some kind of support right now, feel free to reach out to them. That's really all I want in this entire situation. And the other reason I'm not going to tell anybody who it is because they've actually done a really good job of just identifying themselves in various ways. It's been, I don't want to say it's been very obvious, but there's been a lot of disgruntlement kind of towards this group in particular, and I've heard it from varying sources, both anonymous and not. And it's, you know, I don't have to identify anybody if they're doing it themselves, so there's that. And actually there's a third reason, and the third reason is that these individuals like to kind of like over dramatize and pretend like they're the ones that are being picked on. From some of the stuff that I've seen, it's been kind of like, really, and I'm not here for it. And I would like to reiterate that if you know that somebody's hurt, or you know that somebody is in some kind of need of assistance, whether it be just a listening ear or maybe somebody to just like kind of verbally process things through, please reach out to those folks. You know, again, 2020 been a horrible, horrible year. It's been really bad, and people are definitely in very interesting mental places right now, and it's really just important to kind of touch base with people that we may not have touched base with on a regular basis, see how they're doing, provide some kind of support if whatever we're comfortable with providing. And just remember to, again, I said in the last video, to be kind to people. Please continue to do that, because really what we need at this point is kindness and just some kind of support, and not the other shit, like seriously. And if you happen to be part of the little Kahoot group that I'm kind of generally vaguely talking about, I only have one thing to say to you, and I'm not your enemy. In fact, we're two boats in different directions, not even looking at each other as far as I'm concerned. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking about trying to turn this into me coming after you, I gotta say, I don't even care what you're doing right now. Continue on doing what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I have zero intention of ever crossing paths ever again. So, and with that done, we're gonna go ahead and do a reading for September. I'm going to move this camera in a minute so that way you guys can watch me put the cards down, because that really bothered me when you guys couldn't see me shuffle or put the cards down. So we're gonna jerry-rig that and figure out how we're going to do that. And for those of you who are curious, I am going to be using the Revelations Tarot today, because I really do like the symbolism in here, and it's also very new person friendly, and it's really easy to kind of get the inverse and the upright meanings whenever you guys are looking at these cards. So and I have a sneaking suspicion I may need to pull the book out today. I don't know why I feel that way, but we'll get there when we get there. So okay, ready for camera change now. Okay, I'm not going to show you guys how I jerry-rig the camera to do this. Just know that it's very interesting. Not something that I would normally do. So we're going to use the same monthly tarot spread reading that I got from last time. And I'll put it like right over here so that way you guys can see it. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to cover all the things involving current self, what the theme of the month is going to be, and kind of like some obstacles and advice that we may need to go ahead and eyeball. And normally what I do with things like this is I also go over, like, you know, what the hidden card is at the very end, and I always find the hidden card, and the hidden card is basically the card at the bottom of the deck that you would never see otherwise. And I like to pull that one because I feel like it always gives some kind of insight that you wouldn't see normally. And I always want to say that for new people who are coming here, because they're kind of like, what are you doing? It's like, well, that's what I'm doing. So Alright, so monthly overview for September. So this will be interesting. I'm just going to shuffle a little bit more. How are you guys doing today? How was your August, by the way? I don't think I checked in with anybody. Was your August good? Did you have fun? What did you write? If you are a writer, just kind of curious. Alright. Please don't judge my shuffling game. It's not very good. Alright, so I'm going to put that right over here, and so we're going to start with pulling 1, 2 this way, and then we're going to build our way up that way. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's see, that's not too bad. I'm worried I'm not going to have enough room. Ooh, wands are a good start. That's not a good start though. Oh my. Oh. I need my parent. I need a parent. Oh wow, okay. Okay, so this will be interesting. Alright, so let's go ahead and we are going to talk about the current self. Current self at this point in time is going to be, if I can get the focus, the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands, for those of you who don't know, wands have to do with motivation, inspiration, things like that. And the Eight of Wands in a lot of different decks is basically like 8 rods that are kind of like shooting off into the sky. But in this one, actually it's pretty much the same thing. So we got a lot of motivation and we're moving in a direction. So at this point, Authortube, who I'm doing the prediction for, Authortube is fast-paced, they're getting stuff done, and they are charging forward. There's a lot of motivation, there's a lot of inspiration, there's a lot of energy. So you know, I have a feeling that I know some people took some breaks in August, and I feel like they are coming back rejuvenated with new ideas, and they're going to bring a whole bunch of new stuff to the table. So wouldn't it surprise me if there's a whole bunch of collabs that are coming out and things like that. Now, the theme for the month is actually the Ten of Wands. Now, Ten of Wands is about organization, structure, and making things happen. I'm trying really hard to get this camera to focus on this card for you guys because it's just being a little bit of a turd right now. So it's about organization, it is about hard work, it's about completion, it's also about burdens. Normally when it's inverse, it means like it's too much to bear, but on top of everybody trying to be fast-paced and getting stuff organized, it's going to be a lot of work. You know, my first thought when I think about those two in combination is that people are going to come back and they're going to make really big plans, and they're going to make plans bigger than I think they might be capable for at the moment. So my first concern when I see those cards in conjunction is that there might be more burnout at the end of September. Hopefully not, but we'll see how that goes. So let's go ahead and move on to the next card. So the next card here is supposed to be the key goal for the month, and it's the Seven of Swords. Now, the Seven of Swords, I keep trying to bring these cards up closer so that way you guys can see them. It's not working. The Seven of Swords is about theft and betrayal, and theft and betrayal can come in a bunch of different forms. It can come from stealing an idea, it can come from betraying like trust, and I usually see this in both an intellectual and a self-esteem kind of place. So when I pull this card for some individuals, I'm like, somebody is going to try and take something that is yours from you, and then I also see it as a bad self-talk thing. So if you are kind of a person who, you know, in the back of your brain keeps hearing, it's like, well, I shouldn't do that because I'm not good enough, you are literally kind of robbing yourself of the ability to do something. But in this case, when I'm looking at this card, this isn't what I'm feeling. Actually, when I look at this card and I think about Authortube in general, I'm seeing individuals who see that something works for somebody else and they're trying to use it for themselves because they think that will bring more people to them. But I gotta be honest, that people are just going to see right through that. And the reason I'm kind of bringing that up is because it's a little too easy to try and adopt things that work for some people and try to see if it works for you. And frequently that comes off as ingenuine. So the key goal, which is going to be utilizing things for other people, in my brain is a bad move. I wouldn't recommend it, but somebody is still going to go out there and they're still going to try and implement things that work for somebody else for themselves. We're on number 4, and number 4 is obstacles to overcome, and that's going to be judgment. And when I say judgment, I don't mean like passing judgment onto other people, although that is usually the first thing that I honestly do think about, and that is part of the meaning of this card. But in this case, judgment can mean a number of different things. It can mean, it does mean judgment. It does mean rebirth. It also has to do with an inner calling and absolution. So So the thing with judgment is that in order for you to pass judgment, you have to do evaluations and you have to do self-reflections and you have to really think about things. So some of the obstacles that we're going to come is actually going to be not judgment of others. This is actually going to be judgment of ourselves. We're going to be reflecting our behavior. We are going to be, I sense, a little critical. Authortube, a lot of individuals in Authortube are going to be reflecting on how, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. It's not coming to my brain right now. If it comes to you, feel free to leave it in the comment section. But we're going to be reflecting on ourselves, what we've done, and we're going to be very harsh on ourselves. First off, stop that. You don't need to do that. But I think some small amount of self-reflection and kind of self-development is a good idea. So I do encourage this to a small extent, but not to the point where we're being extra hard on ourselves. And if you are not sure if you're being extra hard on yourself, you can always get a second opinion, ask a friend, and see what they think. But yeah, so that's going to be the obstacle that we're going to come, basically being extra hard on ourselves. So card number 5, which is going to be the reverse Two of Wands, is in the beginning it's a little confusing. Usually Two of Wands has to do with making plans and getting ready to go somewhere. And, you know, decisions and anything that involves a 2 is usually about some kind of balancing act. Like you're trying to find an equilibrium. And when you find the cards in reverse, it means that for that particular element, there is not an equilibrium. And with it being the Wands, it's about inspiration, creativity, and stuff like that. So, but again, this is supposed to be the major accomplishment. And I think what it is that people have found their passion and they are actually planning. And that's kind of what the Two of Wands means when you have it in reverse, that it's time for you to plan. So there's a lot of individuals who are very motivated, very inspired, and they're sitting down there making plans, and they feel really good about those plans. One thing I would recommend to you at the beginning of this month is that if you are this person and you are super excited to make these plans, always remember to not put the cart before the horse. Plan whatever it is that you're going to do like you're going to be sick every day, because life happens. And the possibility of you not being able to do something every day is always there. So just remember to take good care of yourself. So I'm going to just kind of scooch these ones down so that way we can take a look here at this top row just a little bit better. Now, number 6 actually has to do with what to avoid. And we have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. So again, remember I talked about here in the Two of Wands that every 2 is about a balancing act of some sort. And with the Pentacles, that's about money. So things to avoid is basically being financially responsible and business planning as well. So I'm particularly fond of the Pentacle and the Coin suit because it has to do with business ventures, has to do with financial stuff, and it has to do with a lot of economic stuff. So I'm kind of nerdy about economic stuff. But what you guys want to do is, as you move forward, is don't go out and buy things that you aren't ready to do. So for example, like let's say that you're working on a story right now, you haven't finished the first draft, but you're already out there to go and buy like the cover for it, right? Don't do that. And the reason that I would professionally tell you to not do that is because your story can change between the draft and the final version. So don't put the cart before the horse. Focus on what you're going to be doing probably for the next maybe the next month. Like I want to say the next month. Don't focus on long term right now. Focus on what you are doing at this particular moment, because again, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of inspiration that's going on right now, so it can be really easy to get carried away. So please do be careful with that. But that's what the thing to avoid is, don't put the cart before the horse. Now, number 7 actually makes me really happy, and it's things to embrace. And here we have the Three of Cups. It makes me super happy to see this. So Three of Cups is like the big friendship card, right? It's the big party card. It's the big camaraderie card. This is the let's come together and do fun things card. And I highly encourage that. So if you've got a group of friends who are kind of like, hey, we're thinking about doing a live stream, randomly on Saturday. Do you want in? You got time for it, man? Go do it. Go spend time with your friends. Go laugh. Go have a good time. Share some stories, make some freaking memories. This is a great time to do that. Love seeing this card. Go do it. If you don't already have these friends, this is also a good time to kind of reach out and say, hey, I see that you do this thing regularly. I was wondering if I could partake of it. And I mean, the worst that they're going to say is no, but the best thing that they can do is say yes, right? So definitely encourage you to go and maybe reach out, maybe network a little bit, and just kind of, don't be afraid to make friends, and don't be afraid to talk to people. Like, absolutely serious there. So where to find support is a very interesting card for me to pull right here. So it actually is the Chariot reverse. And the Chariot reverse, So this really kind of depends on whose deck you're talking about, and there's a lot of different meanings that go with this. I personally really enjoy the Chariot because it's a person, and I always imagine them like in a sports car or on a motorcycle, and they're going really fast. I actually like the idea of the motorcycle more because one of the things about the Chariot is that they're driven and they're very determined, and they're also fearless. So if they've got to do a sharp turn to the point where like their shoulder's going to graze the ground, they're going to do it because they're not afraid to do that. But this is in reverse. So what that means in reverse is a couple of different things. And again, it depends on whose deck you're using and what interpretation that you're deciding to use. But in reverse, it means running wild, right? You are going somewhere without a direction, and you need to develop some self-discipline and make an action plan, right? That's one thing that you can do. The other thing that means is kind of like a slow down thing, right? You're going really fast, you don't know where you're going. It's always a go, 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 go. But when do you stop and kind of take a moment to recenter your thoughts and realign the direction that you need to go in? Like, even, everybody's always got to take a moment to make sure that they're still moving in the direction that they meant to move in, right? So finding support in this situation is really going to be an actual individual thing. Like, that's what I'm getting here when I think about Authortube. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of energy. It's going to be all over the place. I mean, look, three wands in one reading. I mean, like, it's going to be there. So the support is going to be not getting caught up in the enthusiasm, right? You're going to take a moment, and you're going to, even though you're seeing other people working at this neck-breaking pace, doesn't mean that you have to. So again, finding support is making sure that you have a good sense of self-awareness, where your values are, and what direction that you want to move in. And even though maybe some people are like, charging off at full speed, you don't have to. Slow and steady does still win the race. So keep that in mind. Now, the very last card, number 9, is about advice and encouragement, and that's the Hierophant in reverse. Now, the Hierophant and I have a very interesting relationship, and I don't fully understand this mofo, and he don't care. But the Hierophant has a couple of really good symbologies to keep in mind. One is, well, first off, usually the Hierophant is an authority figure, but when it's in reverse, it means it's an individual that has information that they're not really sharing with everyone. I always have to explain these cards up right before I do it. So the Hierophant is a traditional figure that people go to, and oftentimes everybody's like, oh, it's a priest. It can be a priest, or it can be somebody who's been around for a long time. All right, so and they are the interpreter of the divine, right? So they are the spokesperson, they are the thing that basically is coming to translate the word of the higher calling to the people. And most cards you'll see that there's two individuals here to listen to what the Hierophant has to say, but in this case, it's not there. It's in reverse. So again, normally this represents an individual who is purposely keeping information to themselves and only kind of divvying out what works for them. And that's kind of interesting because this is in the advice and encouragement section. So, okay, so the advice and encouragement is actually, you don't have to tell people jack. I know that's a really weird thing to pull from this card, but if something's working for you and somebody is, this makes me think about this card because remember I talked about basically mimicking somebody else's XYZ. If you have somebody that's coming and basically saying, how do you do that and how do you make it work, you can honestly tell them no. And I'm not saying that to be like malicious or anything, but it really kind of depends on the question as well, now that I think about it, because for example, if somebody came over and said, hey, I don't know how to use StreamYard, can you help me learn how to use StreamYard? I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'd be happy to come and help you figure out StreamYard. But if somebody came over to me and said, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to do this XYZ business practice and I see that you're doing it, can you share that tip and trick with me? I'd be kind of like, here's a book, right? Everything I learned is usually from a book, or maybe I ask another professional, but yeah, and again, I'm thinking about Authortube. So, okay, so true story. I think somebody's going to do something that's actually going to be really popular and people are going to want to emulate it. And then they're not going to be shy about asking that person. So if you are this person, you don't have to share your tips and tricks with folks. And man, that's really interesting. And you know what? The other thing I'm getting when I look at this card is Nunya. And what I mean by Nunya is kind of like Nunya business. And Oh, yeah, that is kind of interesting because so I'm getting on a tangent about this card. One person, when I said I always struggle with this card, always said that this card reminds them in reverse that it's the trickster. And if you look at tricksters in a lot of different mythologies, tricksters are usually individuals who kind of go between man and the divine, and they actually usually help man in a lot of situations, giving them fire, teaching them poetry, all this other stuff. And in this case, it could be helping folks out, but you don't have to tell them, like, how it was done. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so I'm going back to if you do something and it's working really well for you and people are trying to copy it and they're asking you for your secrets, you don't have to tell them. So that's going to be that, which I know some individuals are going to be kind of like, but this is Authortube and we're a really supportive group. And I agree that we are a really supportive group, but that doesn't mean that everybody's hard work and effort has to be for somebody else's benefit, if that makes any sense. So that is enough of me talking about that. Well, let's go ahead and we'll pull this hidden card right here, and it is, oh, okay, so true story. I absolutely love the Queen of Pentacles. It's not a card that I personally identify with, but I love seeing it in readings because the Queen of Pentacles is like the ultimate mom figure. It's the kind person, it is the nurturing person, it is if you ever had somebody who would, like, you go over to your friend's house and they're like, oh, you're here, let's make some cookies. It's this lady. Talk about walking into a warm and welcoming place full of nothing but love, and, like, absolutely love this. And I know this also has to do with money. And if you guys, a lot of the really effective homemakers that I know, not only do they manage the house, the kids, but they also take care of the finances as well. And they always find a way to make sure that it is all balanced. So I absolutely love seeing this in conjunction with everything else because it means that kind of like, I don't want to be like the old Authortube, but like, you know, the parts of Authortube that we've really come to enjoy about it being supportive and emotionally providing and a number of other things, that's definitely going to be a much more stronger presence this month. And I'm really happy to see that because I mean, my forecast for 2020 is still kind of dour, but I like that this card is kind of representing that we're going to come in and we're really going to try and bring back that family element that we really enjoy. And sure, we may have a couple of moments where, you know, the kids are fighting and trying to take each other's cookies and shit like that. But overall, this is actually a really good reading. I like this a lot. It's a lot more positive, it's a lot more supportive, and there's a lot more energy. So I'm actually really excited for September. This is going to be good time bears. Feeling really good about that. You know, unlike August, I pulled the cards and said I have a bad feeling. I did not have a bad feeling. I had like kind of like a neutral feeling, kind of like business as usual feeling. So I'm really glad that that's pretty much how it's going to go down. So like overall, like walking away from that reading, I feel like we're going to try and get things back on track and we're going to try and progress forward. And there, like I said, there's a lot of energy. And that might be because of Millwordy, now that I think about it, because it just popped into my head now, because a lot of people are trying to do the Millwordy thing, and I really do, like, I like challenges that help us be productive. Just, again, I just want to reiterate, just make sure that you are productive at the pace that's comfortable for you. Again, it's really easy to burn out sometimes, so make sure that you guys do take, like, that self-awareness moment where you kind of track and ask yourself, is this something that I can realistically do? So that would be my final advice to you guys. So again, the deck that I used was the Revelations deck. If you are interested in wanting to get one of those for yourself, I'll leave a link down below. Really recommend it for new people, and it's really good. So that's going to be my reading for September. I hope you found that to be useful, insightful. Do you do your own readings at all for like months in advance? And, you know, kind of what are your thoughts and feelings on the one that we had today? I'm asking because I'm nosy and I just want to know. And I like finding other people who do tarot because we get together and be like, and it's good times. At the end of September, I'll do a recap of how September went, see if I was right. And this is definitely a reading that I definitely want to be right on. And then I'll do the next prediction if you guys are interested in that too. So, but that's me for today. Thank you guys for coming and humoring me and my little hobby that I like to do. And I will talk to y'all again real soon.